Welcome back to the e-commerce uptake. My name is Daniel Chabert, and today I'm going to talk to you about my agency and how you can keep your clients happy and satisfied so they will stay with you for years to come. I have a lot of experience here given that I run Purple Fire, and I think these are valuable lessons you can use if you're an agency owner or maybe you're thinking about it, but also as a client. So let's say you run an e-commerce business, SaaS or whatever, because these are the things you should be expecting from your agency. So you can kind of flip it both ways depending on what might be a good fit for you. So number one, and the most important thing, if you want to keep clients around for longer, is deliver tangible results. Tangible is really the key word here, because a lot of agencies will assume a lot of things. They will show you vanity metrics you can't use at all. So dive into what the client needs. Is it revenue? Is it profit? Is it scalability? Or is it something else you might be delivering, let's say creatives or development work? And so you need to find out what the client sees as key deliverables, KPIs, and goals that are really important for the client to be happy. And most agencies don't even take the time to understand what success may look like with the client. And let's say, you want to scale, $3 million additionally in Q4, and you are looking for an agency to help you achieve that. Now, as an agency, first of all, you should ask the question, but second of all, you should align whether that's a realistic result. And if you as an agency believe that, half of that is possible, you need to communicate that up front. If you're not communicating that, you're not on the same page, and there's going to be misalignment and there's going to be resentment when, Q4 is up and results are not achieved. So it's really, really critical that you deliver tangible results and you're on the same page about what those results might be. Number two is just clear communications. This sounds obvious, but many agencies are not communicating with you frequently, which leads to misalignments, to be honest with you. So make sure the client understands how often you're going to communicate with them and in what way you're going to communicate with them as well. You could even ask your client, what way do you prefer we communicate with you? Because you might have sort of a standard procedure here. We jump on a call with you every month, or we only do email updates, and this is really important for you to align with here. We have in my agency the option to update on Slack, update on email, and do calls with the clients. We typically jump on every 2 weeks. So make sure you align here, because maybe the client is like, oh, Slack is way too much for me. I don't want those frequent chit chats. I just want an email update and a report to show me what's going on. So that question you have to ask. If you're not doing that, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Number three, we talked about it a little bit before, but it kind of deserves its own little spot in the light, which is just to understand your client goals exactly, right? So you might have goals for the year, for every quarter. You might have softer goals or supporting goals. It's really important to ask about these things and make sure you're on the same page here. If you don't ask about the goals and make sure the client aligns with what you believe is possible, then you're really setting yourself off on the wrong foot, and the relationship can go south at any point when the client discovers you're really not going to deliver on your promises, right? Number four is to be able to provide strategic guidance for the client. So let's say you are running ads or you're doing CRO like we are doing. It's not enough to just deliver the service of running ads. You want to look at the business holistically and make sure you help them with anything that could be hindering your work. So let's say it's a supply chain issue or a product quality issue, or you are perhaps talking to them about making sure that you have enough inventory if you want to scale at the level they want to in the next year to come. If you don't do this, basically you could succeed with your ads or your CRO, but you're still not going to make the client happy, because eventually they will say you need to turn off the ads because we just don't have the inventory to work at the scale you're helping us achieve. And that's going to suck because they're going to cut you as a agency, and it's just terrible. So you want to provide strategic guidance. And typically what we do in our agency is to jump on them every month or every 2 months to have a bigger strategic session, whether we're hitting the goals, but also blockers and external factors we want them to potentially work on. So an example for our CO agency is that we look through their creatives and then we kind of show them different ideas of what they could try out based on what we are, the data we've collected from our clients. So for example, that could be that we interviewed 1,000 clients for surveys, and we actually now have a really good understanding of the reasons why clients love the product. And for that reason, we want them to change what they're talking about in their creatives because it's not aligning with the features and attributes that the client actually love in the product. So that's an example on strategic guidance. Number 5 is consistent performance. So probably if you have an e-commerce brand, you've seen agencies just lower their performance after about 3 months or so, and you can just see sort of this linear decline. This is terrible, and you really want to fix that if you run an agency. The way to do that is to have really good reporting, to understand the results every single month. And internally, we build a tool that shows you exactly, it shows us the return on investment for all our clients. But not only that, we also include other metrics like, we survey and we observe how the clients interact with us on client calls, so body language, tone of voice, if they're showing up on time, if they're answering our questions, and all these other things that are often forgotten. And we put that into a proprietary formula that we developed that spits out an indication on whether the client is happy or not. And the lower that score is, the more wood we have to put on the fire. So this is really, really key. And this really ensures consistent performance because we have sort of a mathematical formula that shows us on whether we are performing at the level expected, whether we're underperforming, or whether we're exceeding the performance that we are required to do to make the client stay with us. And we want to be in the exceeding performance area, right? So if you do a scale from 1 to 10, 7 to 10 is exceeding performance, and that means they are happy and we're actively growing them, and they're probably going to tell friends and family about what it is we do for them. So that's where you want to be. But if you don't have a system for it, you're never going to have consistent performance. Frankly, you're going to do the opposite because you're scaling, you're hiring new people, you're bringing in juniors and other managers to run the accounts of the clients, and the quality of service is just going to go down. It's just something we've seen time and time again, and you can fix it. So go fix it and make sure you have a system for it. Number 6 is your ability to adapt for your clients, right? So clients may be running 80% of their traffic on Facebook, and they're running it to landing pages and so forth. And suddenly there's a shift. They don't have stock, but they're growing rapidly through Amazon, or they're growing rapidly through new ad channels, which requires them to run, let's say, a new funnel, which you have to help with. So again, there can be a billion factors at play here that forces you to adapt with them, right? And if you're not able to do that as an agency, maybe you're just very like, oh, we are only doing this, we're not doing landing pages, or we're not running TikTok ads or whatever, that means you're going to get fired over time. You need to adapt with the client, of course, within a certain room. And I'm not saying that if they want you to go to China to produce the products for them, you're going to do that. Like, that's outside the scope of what you can do as an agency. But if they just need help on the tech side, see whatever you can do, go above and beyond. That's the only way you can keep that high retention with your clients. So it's extremely important that you have that adaptability if you want to work long term. Number 7 is your ability to do regular reportings and analytics. This sounds a little bit boring perhaps, but the clients need to see your results. And if you're not able to visualize that in an easy to understand way, then they're just not going to know what it is you're doing for them. And we sort of have an internal rule at Purple Fire that if we cannot prove what it is we do, and if the client cannot understand what it is we do, then we haven't done any work at all. So being able to visualize it in a way that is easy to understand. And lots of clients are not tech savvy. They don't understand the technicality of the work you're doing. So you really need to lower the bar to entry when it comes to understanding it. And that is often by visualizing it in a really nice way that makes sense for them. Often you can do dashboards for your clients. They will never look at those dashboards. So you need to go through the data and the dashboards on a call with them frequently so they can see what it is you're doing. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. And so reporting this data back to them is absolutely key. Number 8 is a bit untraditional. I think this is interesting. It's client education. And this is something most agencies are afraid to do because they're thinking, okay, if we teach them how to do things, they're just going to do it themselves, right? But this is so wrong. We see no data that suggests that if you educate your customers, then they're going to just do it in-house. In fact, what we see is that your retention will go up if you help them understand what it is you're doing, even on a more technical level. So this education could be structured in a call every month or two where you do kind of a workshop with them to show them some of the things you're dealing with and some of the hypotheses you're working on, maybe some really in-depth stuff. Of course, it all has to be packaged in a way that is understandable for the client, but you could easily see how their confidence in you as an agency will grow over time because you're showing how good you are at your job and you're wanting them to get closer to the work, which shows to them that you're really confident in what you're doing because you wouldn't be showing them all these details and the nitty-gritty if you were doing something shady or if you were not proud of your work. So it really communicates all the good things and it helps the client to feel that you have their best interests at heart. Number 9 is building trust. Obviously, kind of a given that you need to build trust, but trust is transparency, trust is consistency, trust is reliability. And so building trust is a little bit of a summary of all the above things, but building trust is something consciously that you need to think about. So how can you make sure that the client feels that the results you're giving them or the reporting you're giving them is reliable? So building trust is something you need to think about in all of the stuff you're doing, right? So that is in the client calls, when you talk to them, that is giving access to the tools you're using. So for us, for example, we are split testing things. So we give access to the client to our split testing software so they can see we're not doing anything shady behind the scenes. And that is what we're doing everywhere in the business, right? So this is really, really key if you want to grow your clients and stick with them, is building trust in everything you do. And they're going to stay with you for much, much longer. Number 10 is exceptional customer service. And of course, in the agency world, might be, client experience, not customer service. But what is really important here is that you want to go above and beyond and exceed expectations. So if you promise your client that they will get whatever, a 3x return on their investment within a given time frame, you want to aim for 6x, like double that. You want to always exceed and underpromise. And if you continue to do that, you have a really good framework for clients staying with you for a really, really long time. So exceeding expectations, making sure it's exceptional client service everywhere is just really, really big. And I'll give you an example. We have clients with emergencies, fires. Oh, suddenly our site is down and it's, Sunday afternoon. And we have a system in our Slack where we get notified when someone from the client side messages us through the weekend. I know it's kind of like toxic environment that we need to, kind of jump on in the weekend. But honestly, this is a way we can exceed expectations for the client. So we will respond during the weekend. We will have a developer who gets paid by us to be on standby if there's an emergency on a client website, right? And then we just jump on there when it's not expected and we fix those issues. We get the client back online. So that's a really good example of how you can provide better service and exceed their expectations. So anyway, guys, those were my 10 big tips for how you can get your clients to stay with you for years when you're an agency. But you could also reverse this list and say, these are my 10 demands that I want to question any agency about before I start working with them. And if you do that, you're going to find really, really quality companies that want the best for you and actually grow with you, create a win-win situation, right? So hopefully this was useful. If you found it useful, please go and give the thumbs up, or subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to my YouTube, wherever you consume this. Please find a way to get subbed, because I'm going to produce so much more content if you do. Anyway, talk soon and have a great day.